I'll just switch up my camera. Okay. You can see my screen, right?
Yep, sure can.
Okay, great. Okay, so you see, as pretty much what title showing here that we're gonna learn. So we're gonna learn about SQL versus NoSQL, and we're gonna move data from MongoDB to Azure Data Lake. Well, actually, my camera is here and my screen is over there, so I probably look here and there. So just to let you know. And well, before I start about me, I've been working as a data engineer or BI developer, whatever you call, last around 12 years. And from the beginning, even my childhood, actually, I've been involved in many different type of community. Right now, I'm leading Toronto Data Professional community. I got diverse background. As you see, like at the beginning, we suggest, and I'm not look like this. You see, I'm look like Indian. Actually, originally, I'm from Bangladesh. But I also got Danish citizenship. I've been in Denmark last 12 years and got my education from Sweden, UK. Then I just moved here in Toronto 2 years. It's not 2 years, I think now, yeah. I write blog a long time. I'm speaking. I just started. I'm a new speaker. I'm learning. And I'm father of a 4-year-old boy and wife of husband of beautiful wife. And you can reach me through the Twitter and blog. As I said, I would like to also share with you this the community we are running. So nowadays you can actually, since it's virtual, you can join from anywhere. The next event will be related to transitioning your TSQL skills to Spark SQL. So that will be in 18th of March, and which will be your time. 1 hour difference is 6 p.m. I think, 5 p.m. for you. So feel free to join there. Yes, what you're going to cover is we're going to refresh our memory with traditional SQL. I'm sure all of you know about SQL, so we can just refresh our mind so we can compare better. And then we will know about the NoSQL, and then we'll have the demo about NoSQL, a bit of syntax and connectivity, the MongoDB. Then we're gonna have our comparison, and since we will have the database created and JSON file, or then we can move that MongoDB one tables or 2 tables to Azure Data Platform. So we're going to see as a demo that one as well. Okay. So very simple SQL syntax. We all know, select from product. So we are looking into the product table and, querying what is the product category. And as you know, like SQL got like DDL and DML. So DDL is all your table structure, how you build the table. And DML is your manipulation language where you can join and start update or build. Then it's come to when it's we work with SQL, general SQL, not NoSQL. Then it has to have the well-defined schema. It means you created the table. You need to say, okay, what is your schema? Then not only that, you have to define your columns or attributes type data type. For example, product ID is integer, and then name is an invoker. So you cannot have any table without really defining the schema. That's the first part of when you can come and create any table in SQL. Then you got the relationship, right? So think about you got a customer. Customer has some name, address, email address, whatever. And then you get a product table, which will hold your, in this example, say for example, mountain bike and price and the description. Even look at these 2 tables, actually it's not delivering us anything meaningful, right? So you get a customer, you get a product. So what actually is delivering is the price table, or it could be the transaction table, say for example, the order table. It's just an example. You can have more information there. So if we now actually think about the relationship or normalization, so now we can make something meaningful in a way. Like when you come here, see customer ID 2 is Anderson, and he got product ID 2, which is city bike. So now we can see, okay, Anderson bought product city bike, which price is like $1,000. So that's the things you have to have in general SQL database when you're going to build the relationship, or when you're going to design the database for any kind of application. You need to think about the relationship or normalization. And basic type of relationship, or like the relationship we know about, which is one-to-one and one-to-many and many-to-many. As an example, one school can have only one head teacher. You can have more than one head teacher. It's similar like when it's come to the one-to-many. So one school may have many teachers, and when it's an example of many-to-many is you may have many students and also have many subjects to learn, right? In that case, one student can take physics, chemistry, and math in the same way that physics, chemistry, and math can be taken by many students. So that is like many-to-many relationship. Now we talk about the NoSQL. So we work with general SQL when it's SQL database. We know the vendor like Microsoft SQL, Oracle, Teradata, Postgre, or many MySQL. So, but when it comes to NoSQL, you also have many vendors like MongoDB, Azure got the Azure Cosmos DB, Amazon have it, also Oracle and Google. They also have all their NoSQL databases. So you're going to pick today MongoDB because this is one of the popular NoSQL database. I think it's got more popularity in 2015 when actually it came Gartner Magic Quadrant. That's the time it's actually get from that. It's get really more popular. Also think about earlier people when they're building the application, they use MongoDB. Now this is also popular in big data landscape. So it's growing, getting more popularity day by day. Now, some of the things we actually say differently than when it's come to the SQL and the NoSQL means, so database is a database. There is no changes. Whatever you call in SQL, that's the same thing. But whatever we call in table, in database, we call in NoSQL, SQL database, we call NoSQL as a collection. Also, all these attributes residing in the data records residing in the table, that's called the document in MongoDB. Well, even when it's come to NoSQL, even I remember like when I started, I thought, okay, what is NoSQL? Is it like NoSQL? But actually it's the opposite, rather it's called not only SQL. Means you have the SQL, what you do actually in general SQL, you can do everything through the NoSQL. Also, you can do more. That's kind of things by not one SQL means. And if you remember, like we just talked that SQL, it has to have the well-defined schema. But here in NoSQL, you don't need to have the defined schema. So you can have ID, you can have name, age, and look at this record. And the second record where it got an ID, name, and age is not there at all. It's not null value. It's like that column doesn't exist even in the second record. So there is no schema defined. You don't have to. Even think about number 3 record where there is no name here. So it just got age and ID. Well, it could be bad data. It doesn't make any sense. There is no name, but that it can be like, you don't have to define any schema. Then come to the relationship. We talk about the relationship. We mentioned, okay, we need to have the relationship in SQL, but here on the left side, what I said, like if we really wanted to translate that SQL to NoSQL, it would look like this. Means you need to have a user table where, say, Tom Hanks, the age of Tom Hanks and all the user information. Then you also have the information, the profession related information, if it's data developer, data engineer, or actor. And then to translate those things, you need to have also one bridge table to have a meaningful data representation. Means, okay, it's Tom Hanks, user 1, his profession is developer. So, and then Tom Hanks profession 2, so he's a data engineer, he's an actor, right? Actor. So you actually have to have 3 tables. Think about it here. But now look at the right side. How NoSQL is, it got that profession embedded here. See, so you have general information like you have ID, name, and age, and now email also, for example. Now the profession, what you talk about, that developer, that engineer, actor, you can embed that in the same table. So you don't need to have more than one table. You don't need to think about the relationship. That is the big difference in NoSQL. And I put some of the link, if you'd like to start MongoDB. So I'm going to share this PPT so you can have all this link. That's the reason I just put it here before starting the demo. Oh yeah, also the languages, so you can have Mongo Shell, Python, Java, C#, Scala, Go, and many more. So it doesn't need to that you have to have the prior SQL experience. If you come from background where you know C#, you can work with MongoDB. Okay, now it's demo. I would like to, I don't know if I'm able to change my screen share, because that the window will be smaller in the biggest screen, so that will be probably not have good visibility. So let me see if I can change it. Okay, I think I can. Yes. Yeah. Hope you're able to see it. If not, let me know. So, okay, this is our connection. How we're gonna do it is exactly like how we connect any SQL IDE, right? So you go and you see here. I'm sorry, I just click it the wrong place. So manage connection. Sorry, I wanted to click on the manage connection. So yeah, so this is my local machine that's actually connected with. Now I change the screen, so everything is getting a bit bigger here. Okay, I'm connected, so I don't have to think much.
We had a quick question before you get too far.
Yeah.
The question was, in the example that you had with Tom Hanks, was Tom Hanks actually supposed to be 20 years old, or did that age actually belong to one of the other people?
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like,
let me look at oh, I mean this let's share my screen again. You mean this one, like when you have Tom Hanks?
Yeah.
So okay, can you repeat that? Yeah. Or who's asking question? Yeah.
So is Tom Hanks actually supposed to be 20 years old in this example?
No, it's not. It's just, I just put it for the fun purposes.
Well, okay, let me rephrase. Is the age 20 supposed to be associated with the name Tom Hanks, as opposed to the names and the ages being mixed up?
Well, I mean, see, this is a record. So for example, if you have, think about this is a kind of, if you in general SQL, you could think about as ID, as your column, name is your column, and age is your column. Then this is the value, ID.
Okay,
Tom
so
Hanks.
the age does associate with the name. I just got confused because Tom hasn't been 20 in many years. I was like,
no, I was thinking you're kidding. Sorry,
I
I
was like,
didn't.
are they mixed up somehow? Okay, good enough. Thank you.
So you're gonna go and let me find our script. So one interesting thing is for when it's come to NoSQL database, think about, we don't have this database here, right? So even in SQL, we come and say, okay, create database here. So if what I'm going to do is, I'm saying, okay, use that database. This is the database name. If it is not there, it's gonna create it. And then I'm gonna create a sample table and insert the record. So if you go there and just hit that execution button, let's refresh it. And you see this database has been created, and see that the things we said is a collection, the table is like, and then inside that you get a information. Okay, we can view the documents. So you got an ID, name, and the price. Now we're gonna, populate that Tom Hanks example, so you can get it more clear here. So you see like how we're gonna create it. So you get an ID, name, and age, email address. So as soon as we hit it, we expect to have, okay, we need to refresh that. So now you see the user table, and you can see the view documents. You go in here, and you see this. This is like your column name, and this is your value. And if you look at, there is a ID with underscore. That is actually kind of built in by MongoDB, but still you can replace that. Say for example, if I go and say, okay, my column name is ID like this, then it will not create there. Now we go and see about the embedded things we talk about, right? So see, very same example. Profession. It has been embedded to the table. So this is our user table, and you got a ID, name, and age, email address. Now you can actually add that as embedded, like how the syntax will be like. You say, okay, this is your embedded object, and you put this value. And as soon as you run it, let's hit that. It has been inserted. We need to go and see this is how it is, and then you get embedded object here. That's how it looks like. We can actually look more into the embedded. It means it can go more deeper into, for example, table inside table, and more embedded object you can embed in one collection. Say this one, after this we already looked into it, right? So there is a profession. So this is a profession is embedded object, and now what you're going to do is say the cars is a make. What is the make of the car, and when it has been built, and the color. Think about even the car that has a different record, make and year, but this one doesn't have even the color. As I said, like it doesn't have to have the defined schema or anything. So it means if we hit this one, you will see. Yeah, see here, profession you see is earlier, and you get a car, and inside the car, you got a make, year, and the color. But in the next one, you see make and year doesn't have any color. We see so far, very basic syntax. Let's do something, update one of the record. Let's do that. To update the record, it's like the similar things, you have to say, okay, what you would like to update, any attributes that need to find, specify the documents to update, which one you would like. So here I put a Tom Hanks, and then I would like to update his age. I would like to make it a bit older, and then also updating the email address. And then it's gonna show when actually it has been updated. If we go there, see his age has been updated. Also the email has been updated. And you can also see the last modified. We can go also see, it's not only here it's updated, it's all the places it's been updated, So that's so far, the basic NoSQL. Now we have the table here. We see that we created the database. Let's move into the next part of it. Oops. No, we cannot, because this screen becomes so small. Where is my? Oh, okay. I have to switch it back. Okay. I think you're able to see my screen now, right?
Yep.
Okay. So if you go and look at this SQL versus NoSQL, what we learn is, in SQL, you need to have the schema, of course, well-defined schema, whereas you don't need to have the well-defined schema. But I put it as a schema agnostic. Reason is, there is, NoSQL work without even a schema, but as long as you know, okay, because when it's come to real project, and when okay, I know that schema, I know beforehand, okay, this is my column. So in that case, you need to define it. It will really help you. But when you don't know it, sure, then you have that flexibility. Also, the same similarly, maintain relationship. You need to have that in SQL, and yeah, NoSQL you don't need to have. But again, similarly, if you know the relationship, you can build that relationship here. And data distributed in multiple table, as you looked, it's like normalization, but you can embed that data into one table, as you have seen. Okay, now it's also one more exciting stuff. I'm not sure if you all have worked with Azure Data Factory. But here, what you're going to learn is the data or the table we created in the MongoDB. This is actually in my local server, local PC, as you've seen. So I need to move that, or we're going to see that should move to Azure Cloud. So before we moving into that, just one or two slide bit of theory. So what is Azure Data Lake? It is scalable data storage, is HDFS compliance, and one of the important things is Azure Active Directory integrated. Also, it's a Microsoft PaaS service in big data landscape. Azure Data Factory, if you have worked with SSIS, this like tool, so ETL tool or ELT, people say, is a code free, but there is Azure Databricks. If you'd like to code, you can code it. So there is option, you can have code or code free. It's in cloud. It can do so many things because it got, you can create a function also by hooking up all other Azure services they have. To run these things means getting that data from your local MongoDB to Azure Data Factory. Some of the things you must have to have if you already have the Azure account. That's the must things. First thing, then Azure Data Factory. You have to create the Azure Data Factory resource, and then link services, and then integration runtime you require. In Azure, there are 3 different types of integration runtime. So one is the self-hosted integration runtime, other is they call just integration runtime, and then there is other things, other one for SSIS. So for example, if you have work with SSIS, it's running in on-prem and you'd like to move that to cloud, and then there is an integration runtime you require. It's that compute infrastructure. So what it does is it communicate with your private network. Say, since this example, we have the data in our local PC, a local server, that need to communicate fast to the cloud, and that help actually this integration runtime and link service. So actually, before I'm going to demo, because I think those who are new here, it will be overwhelming with all the new words. So what I would like to do is paint. I want to take the paint before I jump into the demo. So we have MongoDB, right? We know, we learn, and we also have in our local PC. And now what you'd like to do is, we would like to move that to our Azure Data Lake. So you call it as a ADLS. And so we are going to use ADF for that as ETL tool or ELT tool, whatever saying. The first things what you need is integration runtime. So as I say, there are 3 types of it. This one, since it's in local machine, or if it is in private network, which is not in Azure network, then you need to have this self-hosted integration runtime running there. And the next one is your link service. Link service is nothing but your connection string. When you work with any ETL tool, you have to establish that connection string to talk to the database. And then the next one is the data set. Data set is your last object, the table or whatever you'd like to move. So that's the things you need to have: self-hosted integration runtime, link services, data set. And similarly, you also need to have one more set of it. The reason is think about you have, because how ADF, this is, you're in the cloud, you're using portal need to know what is their source, how they're connected. So the portal actually first get to know the self-hosted integration runtime, and then the connection is, because you may have many database in the same server or whatever, then this one need to be connected, then the data set. Similarly, now you establish the connection to the source. Now your next part is your sync part, we call, or the target, right? So target, so that needs to also have the integration runtime, link service, also the data set. So those 3 things you must need to have. So it will connect now, say, because in ADF it's going to connect to the ADLS. So those will be integration runtime and link service and the data set very similarly. Now it can, connect like, okay, you're in the portal, you are connecting to the source, that's your left part. So you have to have these things, and on the right side is your target. The data is moving to your Azure Data Lake services. You also need to have these three. I think now it will be easier to follow. So this is our portal. And I can go and click Azure Auto Run Monitor. So now we are running Azure Data Factory. In Azure Data Factory, you see, I have already created a pipeline where, if you look, there is a source which is connecting to the source data set, and there's a sink which is connecting to the sinks data set. And if I run it, the data will actually move from my PC or my server or whatever it says to Azure Data Lake services. Let's do it. We're gonna run it later. This one, just do here together, and then we'll run this one, because since we're doing now, anything could go wrong. So but I'm gonna show all these steps. So what you have to do is first you need to create a pipeline. Say we say pipeline move MongoDB. So we're creating pipeline. Then what we have to have is the copy data. So that we're doing. See, there is already saying, okay, I have to have the source and the sink. Sink is the target and source is your source. See, it's looking for the source data set. We talk about the eventual things you'd like to move. So let's create the source data set. Click here. And as soon as we go there, you see there is a connector for MongoDB, like not connector, is you could say this is the, for example, if we have a different kind of, say, for example, if you would like to go to Azure Cosmos or anything, yeah, well, you actually can call it a connector. I think there's a better name for it. But say you have the MongoDB. So I have chosen that as a MongoDB. As soon as it chooses it, I think it has selected the existing one. I didn't want that. I would like to show you all the steps. So okay, I think so. It has to go there. See, now the next one is the link service. It means you need to connect with the link service, which is nothing but connection string. So I already have created that earlier, this MongoDB connection. But how you create the link service is you say, okay, this is my link service name. So link service, MongoDB source, whatever you say. And then here, this is important one, which is, you see, I say like the 3 type of integration runtime. Here, you see, this I've created earlier, but how can I select it from here? So if we go and say new, you see there is an Azure self-hosted, and there's something called link self-hosted. So for us, since is this for runtime activities for on-premise or private network? So you need to choose that to create it. So that's how actually you create that. I'm not going to create it. I just cancel it, and then you have to put that connection string, which is nothing but how you in general get the connection string from your database. You just put it there, and also put the database name. That's how we actually created that link services. So let me destruct changes. Okay. So if you can come back to my existing pipeline, so we can see now MongoDB, that's my data set name. So if we go there, look at here, link service is there, and the collection name as well is showing. That is the source. Even we can preview it. See, preview the data. Yeah. See, you can say, oh, I forget to show you something. Integration runtime, what is running? So see, this is running Microsoft integration runtime. You have to run it, say, connected to cloud service. So that need to run. This is like connecting your local PC to the cloud. Now we come back to our sync part. So see this is the pipeline we started doing together. So source part we did it. Now we come to sync. What is your sync data set? In sync data set, we are looking for Azure storage, right? So this is our Azure Data Lake storage. As soon as we click it, now we have to say what type of file you would like to choose. For us, it's JSON, because what MongoDB produces is JSON file. So you click on it. Now see the link service. So data set, link service now. Now you can create link service new. It's a very similar way. This one is rather easier. So now think about connecting via integration runtime. I don't have to choose our, if we go here, I must have to choose Azure, not the self-hosted or other one, because your Azure Data Lake service is inside Azure. So it's a different service. That's the reason you also need to have a integration runtime. So that you choose. So so this is auto integration runtime. Then you can have account key, server principal. I'm not going to details on that. So you just have to have the connection method. And then you can also say, okay, this is my subscription. I can say where it will go. Okay, this is my storage, and that's it. So I'll cancel it since we have already created it. Let's go there and see here. So this is JSON, right? And then this is, if I edit it, you're gonna see it. This is how it is. The link service have been chosen, account key, storage account key, those. And in fact, you can also test that connection is successful. So if I click it, it should show connection successful because I know it should work. And this is where it will go. The file will actually move to my file path. Let's see my portal. And go and look into our storage. So this is our container, and in the container, there is a, okay, I think I have created it earlier, product file. Let's delete that. Okay. Now we can, so this place we expect you to have that product table as soon as we run it. So we have sourcing, everything is down there. Now we're just gonna hit that debug. Hope it will not fail. In general, that happens when you're demoing, and that's okay, it's working. Should not take more than a second even. So okay, started. Yeah, it's successfully completed. Now we can go and refresh. Yep, we get a 5. We see the time, 7:30 p.m. in our time, EST. And then you're going to go and see the data. This is the one actually we created earlier. It's not the one we created with Tom Hanks one. It's rather other database, test database. We have this one, product. See, ID, CD bike, and 300 else. So yeah, that's it. That's how we ended our demo. Let's go to the slide. If you have any question related to demo or anything there, please feel free to ask. Okay, yeah, one important thing here, MongoDB version supported that copy activity. If that's MongoDB connector in have chosen is 3.4, and you can see also the documentation over here. Yes, I think I'm done. If you have any question, any comments or discussion, we can have. Let me stop sharing. Now I can stop my video. Anyone have any question?
So it looks like there was a question that said, could you do the same items with Boomi?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never work with Boomi. It's also ETL tool, right? So if they have the cloud, I believe that should be possible to do it since it's a standard tool, but I never worked with Boomi, so definitely I'm not sure, but I expect this as an ETL tool, they should have to do it.
Any other questions, guys? Or gals? Yuli had a question on how popular is NoSQL DBs in the industry?
Yeah, it's really getting, I mean, I would say it's getting popular day by day. It's not like decreasing the popularity, rather it's increasing. As I say, when it's come to, you know, I mean, as I mentioned in 2015, when MongoDB was a Gartner quadrant, at that time, even it starts using in an application level. Now, think about whenever you don't know what will be your schema, you don't know that how the data will be. Like, think about this IoT, right? You know, device generating that all these fields, and you know, those cases, MongoDB or NoSQL can be really helpful, whereas general SQL cannot help with there actually. So in big data landscape, for sure, is growing.
So do you have, like, when you're dealing with these unknown schema files like this, where, or I shouldn't say files, but like collections, where you don't know what elements are going to exist, do you, like, is there a lot of stuff that you have to do to handle the non-existent information when going from NoSQL to SQL?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
standard, or like,
yeah, I think, yeah, it definitely, because think about when you have the NoSQL, it's not defined. I mean, what people do, even the example I can think of, we are working with, see, we're building data warehouse. What do you know? Because I work in a fund management company, it's a finance sector. So we know most of our data is well structured. We know it's old data. We know that it's not like it's coming from IP devices. So our data warehouse is built on top of SQL database. But some of the cases where we don't know it, then we have think, okay, we thought, okay, we know that it will helpful with the NoSQL database, so we introduce this MongoDB when the data coming frequently. But again, now think about, okay, we may have to get this data and put into a data warehouse. It means we have to go into this NoSQL, find out, okay, this is the data. We know now this is the column. Now, you know, structure it and then move to SQLDB.
all right.
Yeah.
Any other questions, folks? Well, with that, I will go ahead and tie this up. If there's no other questions, I'll be, you know, this session is recorded, so I'll get that posted out on our YouTube channel so you guys can watch it again. And then Diponkar, if you can send me your slides, I can go ahead and get those uploaded as well to our site so that people can review the slides along with the presentation as well. So
Yep, sure.
With that, thanks again for presenting, and feel free to join again if you want to see any of our chapter meetings or, you know, any of the future ones. So glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you, Adam, for the opportunity. Sure, I will. You know, I always like to learn something new. So I already actually have joined to your LinkedIn group.
Cool, awesome.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys all next month.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. It's lovely meeting you guys.